Neighborhood here today. I'm here with Gail, who called in a request to my office to try to help her out a difficult situation, and as a result we were able to help her, but we also looked into the need for legislation, and I'm here to talk about a piece of legislation that co-authored by Representative Mike Foley of Cleveland and I, a bipartisan piece of legislation with I think about 20 co-sponsors, called the Ohio Renters Protection Act. And primarily the reason for this legislation and the necessity for it is, in Gail's situation, Gail rented the property right here, and she rented this property at a time when the landlord had already gone into the foreclosure process. No disclosure to Gail, no knowledge of that. Gail, not knowing that, had a requirement to have some surgery, became incapacitated, unable to move, was presented with a notice that she had to move immediately. Called our office, said, "Is there anything that you can do?" And after trying other places, and Jeff Wise in my office was very helpful at helping her out in this difficult situation. Now, the important piece of this really is in this age where right now we're having more and more foreclosures, and everyone's looking at the situation where it's the owner that gets foreclosed on. In this situation, here's a tenant who has a difficult situation, and this is happening more and more, and so our legislation is aimed at disclosure. That's really what it's about, disclosure, so that a tenant understands what the situation would be, that the landlord is required to disclose if a property is in the foreclosure process at the time that it's being rented, that while the tenant is there, if it's going into foreclosure, that it would be disclosed, and that there would be a penalty if this wasn't disclosed. And we feel that this is something that's very important to take care of folks like Gail, and we feel that it's going to make a big difference for those folks who would not otherwise know about the difficulties that this presents. It's clear that this foreclosure process has had a major impact, and we're hopeful that this is a small solution, one that deals with the tenant side. Happy to answer any questions that folks might have.
I want to get a one-on-one, but for the benefit of the other stations that might be here, talk about the need for this, given that the foreclosure rate is so high here in Ohio.
Well, and it's very high in Ohio. It's very high here in Columbus. Between Columbus and Cleveland, we've got an incredible rate. I think I mentioned to folks that I was knocking on doors in a newer residential neighborhood where you wouldn't think this would be the case. Knocked on 42 doors, and in that process came across 12 that were in foreclosure that had signs like this one from Fannie Mae. That things had been, the house had been closed down and been foreclosed on. So it's a very, very troubling situation.
What are options that renters can do when they're found in this predicament now? Nothing?
I had no options. They had legal right to evict me, and when I showed up, I was using a walker because I had a knee replacement surgery, and I showed up at the door, and the sheriff's deputy there had those orange stickers, you know, and when he saw me, he gave me a 2-week extension automatically, but he goes, there's nothing he could do, and there was nothing their office could do at the time because the law did not protect me at all. So that's why I like the provisions of the law that protects the renter, so they are able to stay at a reasonable time.
And it's really an issue of disclosure and transparency, and hopefully that will help folks and prevent folks in the future from ending up in the kind of situation.
How long had you lived here, and did you have a lease? I mean, was it?
Yes, I had a 12-month lease. I moved in September 2007. So it was June 3rd when I found out that they had the right to evict me immediately, And I was able to stay here until the end of July, and by then I was in better health, and then I was able to arrange moving and such.
Did you have any inkling that the landlord was having financial problems or looking at
Not
foreclosure?
at the time. Right around the time I was going to have the surgery, I was starting to get a few foreclosure mail things, and had a different name on it, and he lied to me about it. And he said it had nothing to do with me. It was a messy divorce. Don't worry about it. And I didn't worry about it because I had surgery, and that was my primary concern. So looking back, I should have worried.
And that really gets to the heart of it in terms of the nature of the importance of disclosure, because I think the surgery decision would have been a very different one under this circumstance, and in particular put her in a particular hard place.